Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 230, 365. With David McDonald, the GOAT. 230. 129 days left. Man, we're closing in. It's like 4 months. 10 more days and we're at 8 months. Oops. All right. Good morning, Liz. Happy Saturday. All right. I'll see you guys on the other side. Let's get into this meditation. Oh, I should say happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Also, all right. So welcome back. We just finished our meditation routine, and now we're getting into our reading routine. We're almost 2/3 through this book already, you guys. We're making some good headway here. All right, so I'll see you guys on the other side. And if you're joining us for the first time, go ahead and grab a book, one that you've wished to, you've wanted to read at one point or another. You are currently reading, or find some magazine. Just really, I try to refrain from reading or using technology because we're always on it all day, our Facebooks and this, that, and the other. So we've been reading paperback books throughout the last 6 months. So we've been putting in work, but I think it stimulates our brains a different way. So just a suggestion. Hmm. Oh, that's crazy. Alrighty, my friends, welcome back. Welcome back. So we just finished our reading routine, and now we're going to get into our journaling routine. So in our journals, if you're joining us for the first time, usually what I like to write about is what I'm most grateful for. And in the morning, that is waking up and being in perfect health. And then from there, I go on to write about what I'm grateful for, what I appreciated of yesterday's activities, and then moving forward, anything that I'm happy about or I wish to manifest for myself, any goals I wish to attain. I write those down and start tracking those. And every day I can add to the story. Um, every day I go through a full cycle of experiences and have the opportunity to experience what I've manifested and I wrote the day before. So that's why I always go back and show my appreciation to life by just writing thank yous and writing about an experience that I may have had, this, that, and the other. So if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Whoa. Powerful stuff. Man, this book is crazy. So the section of the book that we're in right now is it's called Breaking Free. So we're breaking free of the presence or the thing that eats us alive inside, or that thing inside of you that is telling you something, but you know in your deepest heart of hearts isn't true. And it's a form of presence. So it's a form of understanding, I guess you could say, that we go through in order to break through. So a woman in her 30s went to Eckhart Tolle. As she greeted him, he could sense a really intense amount of pain body. And she said when she was younger, she was abused, and she was physically abused by her father-in-law, her stepfather. And there was so much anger and sadness. So he was physically violent. I saw quickly that her pain was not caused by her present life circumstances, but by an extraordinary heavy pain body. So this is powerful stuff, you guys, because realizing and detaching ourselves from past experiences that are continuously trying to invite themselves into our current state and our natural reality around us is contrary to what our past experiences continue to try to define us as. So what he told her to do was direct his attention on what she was feeling inside of her body, and ask her to sense the emotion directly instead of through a filter of her unhappy thoughts, her unhappy story. She said she had not come expecting for me to show the way. She said that she expected for him to show her the way out of unhappiness. But she did she ended up doing what Eckhart Tolle told her to do. And what came about from that is he asked her to accept what she was feeling in that moment. Not to accept it and for it to become her new identity, but to accept what she was feeling at that moment. And the moment that she came to terms, and the moment that she accepted that feeling of unhappiness, she accepted it. She said, okay, I am unhappy. She made that declaration, and as soon as she did that, it released from her. She broke free of that energy that was lingering around, because in her mind, she's saying, I am happy. Even though deep down, truly inside, her body is telling her, at this very moment, you're unhappy because X, Y, and Z happened to you when you were a young kid. So she's trying to get away from it. But when you try to actively get away from it, it continues to pretty much create another layer of unhappiness. And then when you suppress it, subconsciously, people can feel that, right? So the way that you conquer and break free from experiences of the past and or anything else that comes along with it is you become one with it, and you accept it for that moment. And then when you accept it, it no longer exists. It no longer can, follow you around, which is super powerful. He allowed her just to sit there and just be. I didn't say much else, allowing her to be with the experience. Later, she came to understand that the moment she stopped identifying with the feeling, the old painful emotion that lived in her, the moment she put her attention on it directly without trying to resist it, it could no longer control her thinking and so become mixed up in the mentally constructed story, The Unhappy Me. Another dimension had come into her life that transcended her past, that transcended her personal past, the dimension of presence. Since you cannot be unhappy without an unhappy story, this was the end of her unhappiness. It was also the beginning of the end of her pain body. Emotion in itself is not unhappiness. Only emotion plus unhappy story is unhappiness. Check this out. Remember our mantra? One of the last lines says, I am ready to transcend. I have arrived. How cool is that? And now, in one of the realizations in this book is become one with the pain body that is disturbing you or disrupting you in that moment. Transcend above it because it no longer controls you. And then continue moving and manifesting the life that you deserve to live. How amazing is that? That's so wild. That's powerful. It's awesome. The return of the pain body. So after this session, Eckhart Tolle's client leaves, our friend leaves. Another friend comes in. She goes, wow, the energy in this place is really dense. She's like, I'm getting out of here. And he's like, oh, I just had a really intense session with one of my clients. So his friend was like, well, I'm not sticking around. So he leaves. He goes to a diner down the street, Indian cafe. And there's a gentleman who looks over at him very starkly. He looks back at the gentleman. Gentleman is looking at him very starkly. And then boom, next thing you know, the waiter comes out and he starts, pretty much talking bad to the waiter. The waiter says, well, if you didn't like the food, then why did you eat it all? That really sets him off. So he goes off, starts going crazy, cussing at her, or using volatile language at her, using volatile language at other guests, but not him. The patron or the person eating was in a wheelchair, so he wheels himself out. He motors himself out of the restaurant, comes back for more. His pain body was like, no, I want more. I want more negativity. I want more drama. Because that's what it searches for, right? It wants to attach itself to something. Mix that with ego, and you have a really, really good stew of negativity. He comes back into the door, and then he pins, he uses his wheelchair to pin the waitress against the door, against the wall. And then he's still cussing everybody out. The manager comes. They call the cops. And then the cops come and they tell the man, hey, you got to leave right now. And the waitress is okay. She has some bruises on her legs. But he tells the man, you got to leave and never return. And then the cop, walks over to Eckhart Tolle and he goes, hey, are you the one who caused all this? And Eckhart Tolle is just like, oh, my gosh. And then he suggests that the negative pain body that had released from his client at his house had followed him potentially to the restaurant and found itself in someone else. That's wild. That is so wild. I mean, who knows? But yeah, energy can follow you. Now we're starting to get into an interesting place with children. And because I hear this a lot and I see people go through situations like divorce. And children's pain bodies sometimes manifest as moodiness. That, by the way, the section that we just went over probably is one of the most powerfully transcendental experiences and learning lessons I've learned in this entire book. Period. Like, I truly feel like I just broke free. So the pain body in children. Children's pain bodies sometimes manifest as moodiness or withdrawal. Parents may watch helplessly in incomprehension and disbelief as their little angel becomes transformed in a few seconds into a little monster. Where does all that unhappiness come from, they wonder? To a greater or lesser extent, it's the child's share of collective pain body of humanity, which goes back to the very origin of the human ego. But the child may also have already taken the pain body from his or her parents. pain bodies, and so the parents may see in the child a reflection of what is also in them. Highly sensitive children are particularly affected by their parents' pain bodies. Having to witness their parents' insane drama causes almost unbearable emotional pain. And so it is often these sensitive children who grow into adults with heavy pain bodies. Children are not fooled by parents who try to hide their pain body from them, who say to each other, "We mustn't fight in front of the children." This is interesting. This usually means while the parents make polite conversation, the home is pervaded with negative energy. Suppressed pain bodies are extremely toxic, even more so than openly active ones, and the psychic toxicity is absorbed by the children and contributes to the development of their own pain body. Some children learn subliminally about ego and pain body simply by living with very unconscious parents. A woman whose parents both had strong egos and heavy pain bodies told me that often when her parents were shouting and screaming at each other, she would look at them and although she loved them, would say to herself, "These people are nuts. How did I end up here?" There was already an awareness in her of the insanity of living in such a way. That awareness helped reduce the amount of pain she absorbed from her parents. So in other words, children pick up on pain body or on this energy. So they may be angels one time and then they turn into these evil little monsters another time, right? Then the parents look in disbelief. And the reason why they're experiencing this is because the children are absorbing, the pain bodies from their parents. To suppress that pain body and say, "Hey, we're together, but we mustn't fight," creates a deeper, psychic pain body to the child, which may lead to further dysfunction later down the road. While the child is having a pain body attack, there isn't much you can do except for stay present so that you are not drawn into the emotional reaction. When a child acts up and we say, "Oh, no, it's okay," or we try to suppress it or this, that, or the other, then we're fundamentally creating something in that child. Well, the book is suggesting that we're fundamentally creating in that child that the more and worse and the more unhappy they are, and the more unsatisfied that they are, that they're going to get a response from the parent. Then it's better to be more unhappy than it is to be happy, right? Because then they get what they want when they're. So the counterproductive thing to do is just allow the child to be. And I think my computer is getting ready to die. So with that being said, before we get out of here, my computer is going to die here shortly. Thank you, everybody who jumped on the journey to greatness today with me. Day 230 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. Everybody on the messenger board, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Everybody at home, good morning, good morning. And feel free to read after me. This is my life. I am aware. I take full responsibility for my reality and thoughts. I recognize I have the power to manifest the best possible life, a life of wealth, love, and peace. I truly believe I have zero limitations. I trust my instincts, God, and